We have with us Mr. Giam, the Chief Commercial Officer of Vistara. And Mr. To, thank you for sharing your time with Bangalore Aviation.
Thank you, Divesh.
And congratulations on finally launching Bangalore. It's your 10th destination in India. You start on the 16th of June. Are you planning any special events or any special brand campaigns around your flights to Bangalore?
We have, over the weekend, launched a couple of sort of contests, promotions on social media. One, inviting the Bengaluru residents to share with us pictures of their favorite places in the city. And the other one, sharing stories, I think, about Bengaluru. So I understand over the weekend the response was not as great because typically people don't go on social media so much over the weekend. But I believe today we had good response. And besides that, there will be a couple of other marketing activities which I think Peter alluded to briefly just now. One with Titan and another one with a transport company. Okay. So the details will be, they are targeted very much at the Bengaluru launch. Yeah.
Please give us an idea how now I think Vistara has spent 5 months operating in Indian skies. How have the last 5 months been for the airline? And I am very sure that certain assumptions the airline began with must have changed over the last 5 months. Could you share some of these?
Yeah, I think that it's no secret that the plans that we have had to be adjusted along the way. I think no plans are ever cast in stone. Yeah. And nothing like actual operational experience to tell you how a route is doing, right? What I found very interesting was there were so-called experts who commented on our route network, saying that, why did Vistara do this and why did Vistara do that? And some of the routes that people felt we should not be operating are actually doing very well for us. Yeah. I think the reality is that the market is very dynamic. It's not a constant, so we may have done some studies and go into one market. Sometimes our competitors don't react too much, but sometimes they react very seriously, and they pump in more capacity than we deploy. So I think another reality of the market is that sometimes what you can command on a route in terms of loads and prices also depends on ultimately supply and demand, right? So if a route that we studied carefully had and felt that there's a need for our product and services, and we go in with those plans in mind, and the competitive situation changes very drastically by the time between announcement and launch, then we sometimes may have to make adjustments. Yeah. Yeah. So, and I think that's another reason why we typically keep our announcement to a very tight window. Yeah, to also minimize some of these competitive behaviors that are just probably not always based on rational reasons.
You mentioned some routes have proved to be unexpectedly good for you.
I won't call it unexpectedly good, but okay. I'm saying that I think there was and the good thing about our experience in the past 5 months is that there's so much interest in us. There's so much has been said and written about us. And what is heartening is a lot of it has been very positive and well-meaning. I think many people within and outside the industry really wanted Vistara to succeed. And we get unsolicited feedback from all kinds of sources. We have people flying us and out of the blue just saying that, look, I was on the flight and this was what was good and this is what I think you can do better. And we take all this feedback very seriously. We think that we owe it to all these well-wishers to do the right thing to improve upon the feedback that was given to us. And so I was just referring to that in the context of some of these reports that have been written about us, people commenting on our route network and so on. Lots of people have commented. And what I found interesting was some of the comments about some of the routes were quite different from our own experience.
Vistara has been slowly inching up the passenger load factor. Would you like to speak a little on this?
Well, I think when you enter any new market, not just the airline business, but any new business, there are different ways of trying to sell your product or fill your capacity. I know, for example, hotel industry typically have very low occupancies when they start. Yeah. So the question is whether we could have filled it better by, for example, some very aggressive sales. I think we elected not to, mainly because we think that's not a sustainable way of doing things, and that we do not want to be known for cheap, unsustainable prices. I think what we want to be known for is a very good product, very good services, delivered with very good value for money. So we will be competitive as and when necessary. But clearly, as I said to one group of corporate buyers who I did a presentation for, clearly we cannot be priced at the kind of level of some of our competitors who give you nothing, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So we expect to charge for some of the values we deliver. But having said that, I think we have done a lot of behind the scene work to engage the trade, engage the corporates, even consumers directly through very targeted means. We are quite active on social media. We have also built up a very good frequent flyer base in a very short time. I can't share with you the numbers, but it's some tens of thousands. And we are actually very happy with what we are seeing in terms of the frequent flyer base. And some people compare us with a 20-year-old airline and say that, oh, how come we are not doing this? How come we are not doing that? But, I wouldn't take I wouldn't use the excuse that we are just 5 months old. But the fact is, scale needs time to build up. Yeah? And you can't have 1 million frequent flyer members from day one. Yeah. You need to build up from ground zero. So I think we have made really good progress in the 5 months. Our load factor have really gone up to very close to what we think we need. And that's without a single of those fresh sales that I was talking about. So we've done it progressively. Yeah.
You mentioned frequent flyers.
Yeah.
The Club Vistara program is a value-based program where, sort of earning is dependent on the amount spent on the ticket. What was the thinking behind a value-based frequent flyer program, especially keeping in mind that this concept is still being experimented even in developed markets like the United States?
I won't call it being experimented. I think I think you must be aware that two of the biggest carriers in the US have actually switched to a value-based system.
Right.
Yeah.
United and
Delta. Yeah. So this trend is actually.
The thing is that they have received a little bit of a pushback. I know so that's why I use the word experiment.
Oh, I think without a doubt, if you do a major change like this with a very big base of entrenched customers, you will expect some pushback. Yeah. And I think that is one insight into why we actually decided to go to value-based immediately. We look at the trend and we felt that the industry is moving inexorably towards a value-based system. Because fundamentally a value-based system is more transparent, it's more equitable to the customers, and it's easier to scale in the long run. So we saw that that was the way the industry was going to go, and instead of looking at what some of the legacy carriers are facing when they try to move, we said let's start the right way, even though we will be the first. And being the first, you always end up with the challenges of trying to educate the market on this different concept.
You mentioned that you're getting uptake in Club Vistara in the tens of thousands, which is good to hear. How many high-value converts are you getting from your competitors, your full-service competitors like Jet and Air India? In sort of addition to that, are you planning any specific campaigns to increase the uptake of these high-value frequent flyers?
I wish I know the numbers, but I have no way of telling what percentage and what numbers I've managed to convert. But clearly, until we convert the last one, there will always be more to do. We have, I think, the single most powerful conversion tool we have is actually actual experience. People have actually tried us. We know of many customers who have tried us and have stayed devoted with us. I can tell you that I took a snapshot of our Club Vistara frequent flyer base when we hit the 100,000 passenger mark. That was about a couple of months back. Yeah. And we took a snapshot and pulled out some of these, the top points in the membership. And there was some very interesting data. Even at that time, with just a very small scale operation, we had some people who had done tens of sectors with us. So the fact that we don't have a very, very big network and spread of services means that we also have to do this slowly. So we are doing it in a targeted way, very specific target segments. I think no price for guessing, some corporates, some specific bodies that we engage with. So they are targeted, yeah.
For example, I think you have leveraged that the Taj Inner Circle, gold level members, they get a sort of status match. Are you offering status match or to your competitors, frequent flyers and things like that to attract them to Club Vistara?
I was going to mention the Taj Inner Circle. We did, I think we had announced before that we were going to have a strategic partnership with the Taj Hotel Group. A lot of discussions are still ongoing, but as you're aware, the Taj Hotel Group is also undergoing some reorganization themselves. But meanwhile, we have embarked on a enrollment exercise with Taj Inner Circle and have received really good response. We have done the same with KrisFlyer, the Singapore Airlines Frequent Flyer program. We have a enrollment exercise as well on each other's database. We have mutual accrual, and since last month we started mutual redemption as well. So we do targeted enrollment exercises like this, but as far as I think targeting specific frequent flyer program, no. I think we go to targeted bodies, corporates, some associations, some corporate bodies that we work with, and also at very specific events that we do with partners.
Yeah. Coming a little bit now to the airline performance, Vistara introduced the concept of the premium economy class in India. How is this class performing, especially on tier 2 and 3 routes like Guwahati, Bagdogra, Goa, Lucknow? How do you see the response to this?
I obviously can't share breakdown figures with you, because they'll be helping our competitors. So
actually, they don't have this class.
But as I think I mentioned just now, that some of these routes that where people thought there was no demand for the premium cabins, they actually turned out to be very good for us. So I think one factor clearly is stage length does matter. I think no secret that the longer the flights, the more likely people are prepared to pay a bit more for more comfort and a better all-round experience. Even the shorter flights, I think as I mentioned I may not have mentioned to you, but on certain routes, we give 5 kilos more on premium economy class. On certain routes, the 5 kilos more was seen to be good value for money already, because otherwise you have to pay some money for excess baggage.
Yeah.
So really, the whole package of product that we have for premium economy, starting from separate check-in and priority baggage tagging, additional baggage allowance, on board more leg room, separate cabin, and all those things, better meal service and so on. I think the whole package is excellent value, but different aspect of it appeal to different people. And I think that is why we have been able to get a very good following so quickly, without any overt fair discount, without a big bank campaign and so on. We have done a fair bit of activity, mainly on social media.
I understand.
Yeah.
You mentioned excess baggage. If I remember, Vistara charges about 250 rupees a kilo? So 5 kilos itself will translate to 1,250 rupees
There you are.
worth of extra baggage.
Yeah, there you are.
Just one question, sir, about Bangalore. The Vistara, you mentioned that you're targeting a lot of corporates.
Yes.
So if corporate customers are your target audience, they demand frequency and convenient timings. And I guess Bangalore is not yet receiving that. It appears to be convenient for a day trip from Delhi, but not for a day trip from Bangalore. You will be adding 3 aircraft in the coming months. What are your plans to address this shortcoming for Bangalore and, of course, other centers in India?
That scheduling convenience is a paramount consideration for business travelers. But as I mentioned earlier in our chat, the network planning is complex, and with the route dispersal guidelines, which is monitored every month, it makes it even more complex. So we can't just deploy the capacity that we would like to. Clearly, without the complexity of the RDG, I think our network will be a little different from what you're seeing. So we couldn't have added Bangalore until we added some of the secondary cities route first, because of the RDG requirement.
That way, Bangalore. Sorry.
Yeah, I think there is no question that we will work towards improving the schedule for Bangalore-based residents as well. We would very much like to be able to offer what you have said. I think the possibility of a same-day return is clearly desired by business travelers. So the current schedule is, it's just the first step we have taken to Bangalore. Bangalore clearly is going to be very important for us in the long run. Yeah.
Talking about route dispersal, Bangalore that way offers some excellent Tier 2 and Tier 3 destinations which are profitable. Routes like Pune, Mangalore, and Visakhapatnam. Is Vistara thinking of, and also Bangalore Airport offers incentives for airlines who sort of use Bangalore as a base. So is Vistara thinking of, sort of leveraging these aspects as part of its route planning?
I think we made it quite clear that we have chosen Delhi as our hub, and committed at least for 20 aircraft. And given this relatively small scale that we are starting out with, I don't think we need to consider another hub for a while. Okay. With 6 aircraft and going to 9 and then 11 by May next year, really the scale is not big enough to to spread ourselves too thin. So I think we will focus on the Delhi hub for now. You may be aware that we next stop one aircraft in Mumbai to allow us to operate a morning Mumbai-Delhi departure at a good timing. So I won't rule out doing something like that, but setting up another full-fledged hub is something that we won't consider for a while, I think. Yeah.
You were mentioning policy, and Vistara definitely is lobbying the government for changing some of the policies. How strongly are you lobbying the government?
Well, I wouldn't use the word lobby. I think what we have seen in the past, in the time that we've been in existence, is that there's a lot of efforts made to consult with the industry. So we get invited to most of these consultation sessions, even while we were setting up. In some cases as observers, in other cases as full-fledged party. And at these sessions, and usually following the sessions, there's opportunity to do written submissions. And we find that we have been able to have a say in the process. I think it's a very healthy thing that is being done. That the industry are given the opportunity to express their views and to hear other people's views, because everybody should get a fair hearing. And we all learn from hearing each other's views and arguments for and against whatever policies there are.
True.
I think policies are there for a reason, but as we all know, nothing stays the same forever. So we feel that some ought to be reconsidered, and when we get an opportunity to, we put in our 2 cents worth.
Absolutely. I mean, the leadership of Vistara has definitely been, at the forefront of, asking for certain policy changes. I fully agree, I think, with the Vistara leadership viewpoint that the policies do need a change. How critical are these policy changes to your overall growth strategy? Just as an example, if 520 continues, what is your plan B?
I think right from the start, when the joint venture was announced on 19 September 2013, and through our subsequent action of committing a lease for 20 aircraft to be delivered over 4 years, and everything else that we have done, clearly demonstrate that we are prepared to operate under the current conditions, the 520 rule. That means we are prepared to operate, to set up a full domestic operation. And I think whether the 520 rule changes or not, that does not change. But clearly, if 520 rule changes, we will have to consider the possibilities that brings, those changes bring, and then make our plans accordingly. Yeah.
So just 2 more questions. Where do you see Vistara 2 to 3 years from now?
2 to 3 years from now, we would have close to 20 aircraft, at least. That is, we don't add to what we have committed so far. We would have a fairly good domestic network. I've seen our plans for the next 3 years, where we will fly to and the frequencies and so on. I don't think we'll ever get to 10, 12 flights a day between Delhi and Bangalore. But I think we will have enough scale to be to provide a good option for the business travelers, and hopefully we will have cemented our place as the airline of choice in India.
Could you elaborate a little bit on numbers, like say, you said you would be at 20 aircraft, about how many destinations, about how many flights a day?
I think the rule of thumb is the math is actually not too difficult to work out. An average aircraft with a Delhi base, with the stage length that we are looking at, typically can only do 3 rotations a day. So that's the rough guide. I think of course you will see a mix of cities like Lucknow, which is about an hour and a bit further from Delhi. Away from Delhi. So I think, but the rule of thumb of these 3 rotations can't vary a lot. So from there, you can actually work out the numbers quite easily. As far as the number of stations are concerned, I think we always have to strike the balance between more depth. So if you ask me whether Bengaluru would get more services, I think almost certainly. If you ask me whether we would add to, say, Mumbai, I think likely. If you ask me whether we would add 10 other new cities, I don't know for sure. It depends also on regulatory changes, and the market is also dynamic. New demand patterns may emerge. So we would strike a balance between depth and developing as much breadth as possible, consistent with a fleet of 20 what 20 aircraft can do. Yeah.
And what about beyond 20?
Well, I think we have been asked this question before. It's early days. Obviously, there are some scenario under which we can see that happening, that we go beyond 20 earlier than anticipated. But we have not made any move along that path yet. I don't think it's time to do so yet. I think we are sort of catching our breath, after the speed of startup since January until now. So after tomorrow's launch of Bangalore and the additional Lucknow services, we won't have new capacity for 3 months, and I think we are kind of happy to have that time to sort of, bed down everything and before we embark on the next phase of growth. So I think it's early days, but when changes take place in the market or regulatory conditions changes, I think we will have to look at it again. Yeah.
In March, Bangalore Aviation wrote a satirical article proposing, that Vistara grow inorganically by acquiring Go Air.
Yes.
A lot of assumptions made in that article somehow seem to be coming true.
Is that so?
Yes. If you see the article. So we were wondering, does Vistara have any plans of inorganic growth, or is it going to stick to its organic growth plan?
I think as you said from the start, it's a satirical article. So that's how I read it. That's how I read it. I don't know what other readers made of it, but that's how I read the article. And I thought it was interesting reading, but no more than that.
So I'm saying, but I was saying this was just something we had thought about, but we said, is Vistara considering inorganic growth, acquisitions to fuel its growth?
If we are, I'm not aware of it.
For this last question, I think I will ask you not just to utilize your cap of Chief Commercial Officer, but your so many years of international experience with Singapore Airlines and an overview of the global market. India is nowhere close to achieving its potential of becoming the world's 3rd largest aviation market by the next decade. The numbers that Boeing and Airbus and others have projected call for 300 million passengers a year, which will involve almost a 500% growth in the next 10 years. What steps do you think Indian aviation as a whole, be it industry, all the stakeholders actually, need to be taken for India to reach that goal?
Well, I think so much has been written about this subject. I want to start by saying that I think a lot of good things have happened in the last few years. One of the most important element is airport infrastructure, and I just looking at Bangalore Airport itself, and of course there are quite a few others, and also a few AI operated airports, where we now have very modern and efficiently designed terminals. The airport system generally runs quite well. So much has been done along that for that particular aspect of it. In terms of policies, I think there's always fine-tuning possible. While we sometimes lament about the constraint placed by the route dispersal guidelines, but we also understand the need to ensure air services to some of the underserved regions, and we do our part. Yeah. I think overall, what we would like to see is if there's recognition that the airline industry is a key element in the country's development, in helping the country develop, rather than a sort of luxurious transportation option, then I think many things will fall in place. Yeah. But as I say, many good things have fallen in place, and I can see that the fact that some of these issues are being discussed and that stakeholders like us are given a chance to express our views bodes well for the future of the industry. Last point on the cost, I think much has been said about ATF and all that, and the taxation and so on. I think that clearly is one area where I think there's almost universal consensus on what can be done and should be done. And we hope to see some movement along the path. But I think you're right in saying that while a lot has been done, a lot will need to happen if we are to realize our dream of being the third biggest aviation market in the world within 10 years.
On that note, thank you very much, Mr.
Thank you,
Prof.
Divesh. Thank you.